Here we go. Lab Coat Agents, we've got Jennifer Hoskins with us, and Dan may disappear or stay. I don't know, but thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. And Jennifer is a friend of mine who I met, I think it was 3 years ago, Jennifer, when we actually met for the first time. 5, 4?
Yeah, no, about 4 years ago. Yeah.
4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And it was at an event that I was at
you were
in
on a
Virginia.
panel.
I was on a panel. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an amazing event. And I think that's, we connected really well. Then from there on,
Yes.
Jennifer kept on sending me some things in the mail, and that made her stand out for me. And so I love that about her, because as we're shifting into this whole world of these tech companies taking more and more of our inquiries, our leads, and even our clients, it's important to do a lot of what Jennifer is already doing in her business. And that's going to be more and more important. So Jennifer, can you do a quick intro as to who you are and what company you're with, how long you've been in the business?
Sure. Jennifer Hoskins. I'm with Keller Williams right here in Northern Virginia outside of Washington, D.C. And I was originally licensed 25 years ago in Virginia. I got out, went on and did a couple of other things, including I was a lender for 5 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I actually ran my own social media technology website company for a number of years for businesses. What? You didn't know that either.
No.
So I've combined all of that, and somewhere in between all of my stuff, I actually worked for the hospitality industry, which is where I learned the basics of event planning and putting on events for really high-end clients, like professional athletes and groups that were coming into cities.
Whoa.
And things like that, diplomats out of DC. So I had a lot of experience just from the ground up working with a lot of high-profile folks. So I think I just moved that experience into my real estate business here in Virginia.
Well, that makes a lot of sense now. Now I understand. So you came from an industry that was heavy on events and working for the consumer in that way, where it's like they're the most important.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm focusing on. This is how much I'm giving. All about that customer service to a
High
whole
end.
level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. I love that. All right. So tell me, when you came back to real estate, which was 4 years ago?
40 years ago. Yeah.
How did you approach it differently?
Well, I had to, back in the day, 25 years ago, we didn't have the technology. I mean, we still had the bag phones over our shoulders where we would call and be really cool with people. We barely even had cell phones, okay? Yeah. So when we came back, I really wanted to see how the technology had changed the business, and I was really excited when the technology came. However, with that, I am a face-to-face person, kind of real estate agent. If I get in front of somebody, I can make a greater impact than using all the technology behind the scenes. So I like to combine my business with a lot of the forward-thinking technology that we have today, and also throw in the stuff that, like being your neighbor next door that you can reach out to and talk to. And that means face-to-face. So doing it in a group setting is way easier for me. So I do like doing those events.
Well, you know what? There's a stat from NAR. It says a brand new stat, October 2018. It says that if we meet these people, these inquiries, these leads, or just people in our database that we've never met before that are thinking of transacting, 72% of the time they actually transact with the agent that they meet with.
Yes.
So
yeah, I agree.
It's really important that we start doing more of that, where we're actually meeting people, and meeting people in groups like you're doing it is key. Now, we've had people on this where they do absolutely amazing with events. We've had Michael Mayer, who you've heard of, Tara Carter, who also does the whole Michael Mayer event process, and Dan Baltzer. Both do great jobs. But the reason I wanted to interview you is because you've never gone through that whole Michael Mayer process. So I wanted to see what you've done, because I wanted to see the other side of events. So take me through that process of an event, what the planning process, and inviting these people to be there and making sure they show up.
Oh, and that's key, right?
Yes.
Because what's the impact if they don't show up? So,
None. Terrible.
so I took my experience, grassroots experience from a big hospitality scene, and scaled it down to make it something that was very local feeling and very customized and very personable. So let's talk about the planning part. So one of the things that we all talk about is lead generation, and ultimately calls to our database to stay in touch with our existing clients, but not only our existing clients, but also those prospects or people that you want to touch. So I use these events to not only invite my clients, but those that could be clients, which include vendors, prospects, friends of my clients. So I expand, I make that net really, really big.
How do you choose who you're going to invite? Do you segment them? Do you have a list, or how does this work?
I do segment them. So in my database CRM, every time somebody goes into my database, I'm always segmenting. So no one goes in and isn't categorized in some form or fashion. That is the basis of all of my planning. So I tier it down based on the size of the venue that I have and who's going to show up. So, and I over invite. So I'll talk about that in a minute. So the first part is every client that I have that's closed, they immediately go into a segment for events. So I can just segment them out. And then my next tier, of course, is sphere of influence, vendors, people I've worked with a lot, or high-end prospects or people that are thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate in the next 3 to 6 months, because it's immediate business for me to keep my pipeline going. So that's where I start. And then based on that list, then I either scale it up and expand it deeper if I need to have more people, or I shorten it. It just all depends on the event itself. Does that make sense?
Totally. I love that.
Okay. So when I do that, I really take into effect, if you ever throw a party, you have to do a lot of planning up front. So my planning starts about 6 months before the event. What? I'm a planner.
Holy.
So what that means is I better find my venues, especially in Northern Virginia. Venues book up quickly, especially the ones that are least expensive, low cost, high impact. So I plan about 6 months to a year in advance where my events are and what they are. And I try to do 4 a year, depending on my business and depending on the flow. But there is one that I do every year, which is what I'm going to focus on today, because you just duplicate it for every event. So the 4 events are once a quarter, real simple. But my big event is in January. And I put it in January because I am starting my planning at least 3 months before. And that's that segment, guess what, in fourth quarter, when we need to build up our business and reconnect with people for spring market. So my big event, and it's a client appreciation State of the Union event that's very purposeful. And I literally appreciate my clients. So I get my list. I am constantly curating that list throughout the year. So by the time October hits, I know who I'm going to be inviting to my party.
Got it. So
and then, go ahead.
Do you have 1 or 2, 3, 4 events a year? How many events are you having in a year?
I'm having right now 4 events a year,
Okay,
which means
so you're planning way ahead.
Way ahead. I have to plan way ahead, because if not, you're focused on day-to-day transactions. And this is also a reason to talk to people and talk about real estate when you're calling them to invite them to a party.
Is it just you who's planning, or do you have an assistant or
Right
help?
now, it's just me. So with planning, yeah, it's just me, because I have my systems in place and processes in place that I call the same vendor, same location, same back channel, as I say. They know me, they work with me. I say, we're ready to do another party. Are you open? Yes, it's done. They know exactly what their role is.
Beautiful.
What they do. Okay. So it becomes very easy once you get through it. So about 2 months before the event, I've already got my list together, and I immediately put together a quick video, save the date, and I'll do a video and I send it out to everybody. So that's my prompting 2 months prior. And then I'm also generating the print invitation, which I have here. I just do a real quick print. Can you see it?
Yeah, let me make a speaker view of that.
Okay. So I will print these out in advance so I have everything and I show it in my video. And then once I do that, then the calls start going out. So
What's on the back of that one? Just so we can all see.
yeah, you want to see that? These are my peeps.
Oh,
These are my
nice.
clients. So I always take a group shot and then I promote it because it's my marketing piece for the next event.
I love it.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
So once I do that, then what I'm doing is I start my calls. So they roll into my lead generation calls because really it is a lead generation call. And I individually call everybody on the list and tell them about the invites. I send them a video and then I start my calls. 4 weeks prior, the print invitation goes out. 2 weeks before, I'm calling everybody to confirm RSVPs. So I have to have a head count for my caterer if I have a caterer, which I do. Then I know who's coming.
Okay.
So that's the process of getting everyone excited and coming. And I have amazing amount of people that come every year, and then I get new people that come in. So that's the process. It's a long drawn out process, but on my calls, yes.
Sorry, I have questions here.
No, good. Mm-hmm.
How do you make sure that people show up? So like building up to it, what do you do? Because we've had events where there are people that don't show up, even though we think they're going to show. They cancel last minute or stuff happens. How do you prevent as much as that from happening?
I try to be consistent on the time of year that it is. That I've set that expectation for them that this event is every year. And I also am very cognizant about the community around me and what goes on and what pulls people away. So what pulls people away from our events in Virginia? Weather is a big one, especially in January. It's hit or miss, okay? I don't do it on Super Bowl weekend. I don't do it because it's in January, so I have to watch that. I also, for our area, studying the school systems and knowing when the kids are in and out of school and what the drive is for vacation schedules is key here. So you've got to be able to also plan that in your calendar so that you're not conflicting with what's going on in the general community of what's drawing people's attention away from your event.
So do you plan to have the event when kids are still in school and not on vacation? Is that the idea? Or
Yes, because children are invited to all of my events. Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
I want all families there so that it's family friendly, because one of the biggest things is finding a sitter, and I'd rather not have that excuse. I can't find a sitter, so I can't come.
That's perfect.
There's no excuse not to come, right?
Yeah, Very true. I love that. All right. So then now you're at the day, you're the day before the event. What are some key things that you do the day before to prepare?
Well, I have my buckets already set up. So what I mean by that is I already have my supplies, because again, these events are the same. Each venue is the same. What I'm doing at each event is going to be the same. So I literally load my car up. There is virtually no plan. I mean, the planning's already been done 6 months out, and I have everything queued up in these big, huge, buckets, plastic buckets, and I take them over to the venue the day of, and we roll with it. So what am I queuing up, right? What do I bring to my events? I think that's key. So one of the things that I do in the process when I'm calling folks, I'm also allowing them to invite a guest. So when I invite a guest, guess what? I'm asking if they know somebody who's interested in buying, selling, investing in real estate. Bring a guest, bring a neighbor, bring a friend, bring a family member, because makes sense? Yeah. So with that, I'm trying to qualify them. And also, let me back up and say, I also send out an evite as well. So I'm hitting everybody not only on the telephone, so those that prefer verbal conversation, I'm also hitting them in paper so they have something visual. And then I also hit those that are really tech savvy and don't want to talk. and I hit them with evites. And so there's reminders going out with them on all 3 levels, including social media, Facebook, event group as well.
Makes sense. So I have a question here from Ann Hughes Banos. She's asking, what venue are you using, or do you usually use?
So I use a venue that's in the neighborhood that's closest to my clients. And then I'll rotate it around because I have a big net of people that live 25 miles from here. So I pick a venue, and I really look at the venue based on cost because I want to keep my costs down. So right now I'm using a community clubhouse for one of my events.
Okay.
The other one is I'll go to a vineyard or a winery. We're really big into wineries here in Virginia. And I don't rent a space because I'm all about the cost factor, right? I'm frugal. And I don't think you need to spend a lot of money to have a big impact. So I just show up at the vineyard and have a group and have an area set aside for us.
Smart,
right?
I love that. All right. So you've got a whole system going because you prepare 6 months in advance, and you also make it a pattern. I mean, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing events?
Oh, I've been doing events for in general.
For real estate, just for real estate.
Just for the last, I started my 2nd year. First year, I didn't know what I was doing, but then I realized I could do events. So I started 3 years. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. But you have the consistency and the plan. What has helped you create this plan and stick to it? It's just you. For those of you that are just jumping on, what did you do at the beginning that made this successful? Do you have like a checklist? What do you have?
I wrote everything down, and
Can you leave that up there? That's awesome. All right, session 9, hosting successful. Oh, that's awesome.
You see that? Yeah.
So
I can make it available. Mm-hmm.
You have a step-by-step process.
Yes, and I even wrote out, believe it or not, I have my second part is actually I have my speech written out. I have everything written out. It's the same speech at every event. So I highlighted all of that.
That's so cool.
Every event. Do people not do this?
No. What are you talking about? We just wing it.
Okay, no winging. You can wing it. You just pull this out of your file, 2 months before and go, okay, what event am I doing? Okay, who do I call? And it's done. That's what makes it simple so that I'm not my business doesn't drop off because I'm hosting an event because I'm running around with my head cut off. See, makes sense? So that's what I do is just plan it and put it in I realize that that's probably odd, but I have to write stuff down or I forget. I'm one of those people.
You even write the speech down.
Yes. Crazy. I have my speech.
Smart.
Yeah, I write the speech. I write what I'm going to say when I'm doing the invitations so that when I'm on the phone inviting them, I say, I have a very specific, what do you call it? Script. I have a script. Yeah. I have a total script that I'm saying. It's the whole thing about the invitation and circling about the purpose of that event. Because otherwise, I'm a talker. I'm a high I on that disc profile, and I'll just get all excited talking about everything else but the event. And I'm also asking for the business as well at the same time. So I check off that box. Mm-hmm.
All right. So now it's the day of the event. Can you go through a visual setup of where things go and who's helping you and how it looks? Sure.
I always have an assistant. It's usually my other half or my best friend. She actually flies in to help me.
That's really nice.
Because I like her because she can work a room. So if you have somebody that can work a room for you.
Can I get her phone number?
Yeah, she's awesome.
Can I make her my best friend?
So I think what I have found is most successful is if you have a sidekick, because think of it like this. It is like a wedding. That's how I look at it. You are, believe it or not, everyone in that room knows you, but they don't know everybody else. So it is but you are also this bride, if I can say, or groom. And so you have to realize that you're busy working the room. It's like a big networking event. So you need to make sure that everyone's taken care of around you. So I always bring a sidekick or someone that can help keep people moving and keep people talking so there's no dead moments in the room. That's just all about networking, right?
Good. So true. You're making them feel really, really good about this whole process. I love that.
Yeah. And the thing that I think that a lot of people that forget is that when you invite a bunch of people that don't know each other, the best thing you can do for them to make them comfortable is give them name tags. Even though it's a personal event, please give them name tags because they don't know everybody and not everybody knows how to introduce each other. And so you want to help them make those introductions of who's what to help the party flow, right?
Good point. So when we have the events, our events, we have a registration table at the very beginning. And that's one of the things that we give out, just the little sticky name tags. Really? Yep. Those are the ones. Perfect.
Yep. So like you said, we set up the registration table, and here's what goes on at the registration table. If they haven't answered the question on the Eventbrite, and the question is, can you send me a referral? Who do you know that's willing to, buy, sell, and invest in real estate? I'm always looking for a referral because I always explain to them that that's how I grow my business. So I created this sign-up form when they come in as well. And this has someone's name on it, but it's the same thing. Their name and number, who I invited, and who they might have or who they know as a referral to buy, sell, and invest, or if they have a handyman or a vendor that they want to recommend because I'm trying to add to my database.
Ooh, I like that.
So we're doubling down on that. And then what I do is, now this is where I learned, this is my lesson of the day. I always do a grand prize giveaway. And it's usually technology related because I find technology in our area brings people in. So I like that.
So brand new Tesla giveaway or
Teslas. Man, I want one of those. Yeah, I want a Tesla. Maseratis are around here. So, I'll do a big, huge flat screen television, but I usually use a name brand. I never use an off brand. So I'll pay more for that. Or Sonos speakers, anything technology based is really a draw. So they get to do a drawing. So have you seen these tickets before? See, we're going back to old school stuff.
I love that.
No electronic sign in. I mean, I want people to touch, get involved. I came up with the 2-ticket system. Here's why. The red are for my clients. Okay. These are people that have done business for me. They go in the drawing.
Oh.
So you can't show up as a guest and win the big prize. You have to earn it.
Oh, right? Crap. That's such a great distinction.
So, and I've marked my sign-in sheet with my other half or whoever's helping me, who gets the red. And the ask question, you closed a transaction with me, you get red. So you're going to go in for the big drawing. But I don't forget about those that are guests or vendors because I also want to do a prize for them. So then I give them the white ticket. And they get a drawing as well because I want them to feel included. And I do want them to feel included because this is what I do. And then it turns out to be very fair for everybody. Or if you, and go ahead.
With the tickets, do you give those out at the registration table when you're checking them in?
I give them out the registration table. If they've given me if the clients have, and the clients who have given me a valid referral get an extra ticket. So every referral that they're giving me, they're getting an extra ticket for the grand prize drawing, right?
And there's only one grand prize drawing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And how many other prizes do you give besides?
I usually give between 2 and 5, depending. So one of the ones that everyone loves is EvaBot. It's the virtual assistant, gift assistant. Are you familiar with that? That's a huge hit because they pick their own gift. And I'm usually about $100 or so on that. And then I pool my vendors in, and I usually my vendors will give away discounts for moving and other things, and maybe some local restaurants.
I love that. You making me excited, by the way, because this is like giving me some different ideas.
Sure. And
the fact that you separated the tickets and the people coming in, and you're making those people that are your tribe, you're making them you're making them love you more, and you're creating fear of missing out from the other people.
Right.
You're doing some amazing psychological shit here. It's amazing. I love it.
Well, it is. It's all up here.
Warfare in the back of your head. You're like, that's right.
So we've checked them in. We've got the registration desk, and then we move them into where the venue, the space. And I always do an open bar. So that's covered. Nobody has to pay for any of the food or drinks or anything. And I always have live music, always have local live music playing. And then here's the other thing about my events. I don't make them long. I keep them short, have a beginning and end time. I want people in and out because people feel obligated to stay and they need to know that it ends and they can go on and do something else. They can certainly meet us afterwards for drinks at another venue if they want to hang out, but I like to keep it a short period of time.
How long? What are your events?
So no more than 2 hours max.
Okay. So 2 hours. When they come in, at one point, when they come in, do you say, hey, it's me. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And when do you do that?
45 minutes after arrival. I'm very specific about that. It depends. And I kind of flow that depending on when people show up because I want most people to be there. But worst case scenario is going to be no later than an hour and 15 minutes after, depending on how many people are there and show up.
And how do they know this is only a 2 hour thing?
Because it's stated on the invitation.
Oh, got it. Yeah, from like 7 to 9.
6 to 8. 6 to 8. Mm-hmm. And I also, I encourage them afterwards on the invitation and on Eventbrite that we can all go out afterwards. And I tell them verbally. So they have the option to stay or to go. And it's sort of like, yeah, you can come hang out with the cool people. Again, it's that fear of being left out, and we just kind of roll with the punch after that.
Okay. Right? So when you do hey, you guys want to chill after, let's go have something to eat after. How many people take you up on that? Or
1 year I had about 15.
Okay. That's good.
And they got hotel rooms to stay.
Oh crap.
Yeah. And I told them, if you're going to stay and drink, you get a hotel room. Don't drive, and they did. So it was really awesome. Just a small group. We had a great time.
All right. And obviously those 15, they're paying for their own stuff or
yes,
are you
afterwards? After party is on them. So sure.
All right. So let's say you got 100 people there at your event and they're coming in, they're going through the registration table. Do you have any like banners on the side saying this is who you are or no?
I actually, the venue that I have has flat screens. So I do a slideshow presentation that auto rotates on there of all of because every closing that I have photos. So everybody gets to see their face. They love that. I show all the properties that I've sold. I do market statistics in the area. And those rotate throughout. And it's a conversation piece. So if they decide to take a break and, they have something to look at, if they're not listening to music.
That's really cool. And where do you find the local band? Do you just the same band every time or do you post up?
Right now I've used everybody loves him. So I use a local acoustic guitar guy, and he plays a lot of wineries. So you can find these guys, just go online and find local wineries, and they love to come work these type of events.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got music.
Yeah.
You've got an open bar. You've got some food. Or is it like appetizers?
I tried 2 different things. Good question. The first one is I had a full sit down. I had appetizers to start and full sit down. And when I did that, it was too long of an event. And then your real estate agent / bride, whoever comes in, and everybody sits down to eat. Trying to get them back up and get them back engaged into a group event was challenging. So I have switched it to heavy hors d'oeuvres so that everyone is mixing and mingling, but there's no big meal. And this keeps it light and keeps people moving. That's right. So I would, so once the mixing and mingle and the time, when I look at the time and I can kind of tell by listening to the room when people are settling down, they're waiting for that. I don't want them to wait. You have to read your room and read the people that are there and then say, okay, it's time. It's go time. I got to get on the mic. And so I work with my music guy and he knows to get on the, to pull the mic over to me. And that's when I do State of the Union. That's when I ask for business. I also share with them what my goals are for the next year, where I am in the middle of the year with my goals, and that I need their help. And I really appreciate them. So that
Ooh, I like that.
them. And so I'm constantly letting them know that this business doesn't happen without them. My
How
business
long
doesn't
is that talk? 10 minutes max?
max 5. I don't
5.
spend a tremendous amount of time because I want to get to the grand prize.
Got it.
So,
And what would you say is, and we'll get to the grand prize because I'm excited.
okay.
I'm not even part of it, but I'm excited.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Yeah.
What's bringing people to the event? What's driving them there? Is it a fear of missing out? Is it the grand prize? Is it going to see you? How do you create that for people to want to come to this thing?
That's a really good question. I think in our area in Northern Virginia, and you just have to figure out the vibe of your area. We are workaholics here. We literally work 12 hours a day. That's so common because you're commuting so much. So I feel I try to make it an event out. Get away from your routine. This is something fun to do. Bring the kids, get out of going to the movies, get out of the Friday night at the local, pub, and make it a date night. And I actually promote it like a date night. So I think people are driven to do that. Other people I haven't seen in a long time, and they want to come out because they know when I throw a party, it's a fun time. It's relaxed. There's no pressure. And my phone calls to them, I really think it's about the follow-up. I impress upon them that they are valuable as clients and as friends. And that makes a huge difference. You're not just a transaction. And I convey that in a conversation and the way I do my invitations. So okay. I want them to feel, and it's a personal touch. I don't have anybody calling for me. I call everybody myself.
I love that. Is it a theme that you do for events? Do you call it because you mentioned like a date night? Is it like a family date night, or do you?
Yeah, that one is. The other one is an ice cream social. So that they can bring their kids. It's really focused on the kids. And the other one is, what's the other one? The winery, which I mentioned in our area. I have done the pies, but I'm not a fan of the pies in my area. You know how you do the holiday pies and everything?
Yeah, I've seen that, where everybody goes and picks them up.
Yeah. We're too big of an area. My spread is too big. Some people would have to drive an hour to come in. It doesn't work for me.
There's a lot of traffic in your area too.
It's crazy. So that doesn't make any sense unless your tribe is within a 10-minute drive. And most of us don't go to the office anymore. So it kind of makes it challenging. So I'm switching over to a movie theater, but not renting that out. You probably heard this, where you just buy a bunch of tickets. Yeah. And then you just have them come and enjoy the movie. And they can have an option of which theater they want to go to, and you're just there to meet and greet and just give them a FaceTime.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. All right, so let's go back to your event.
Yeah.
Where you have the registration table, your best friends kind of running the rounds, helping you out. You've got the appetizers. You've got that guy playing the solo guitar.
Yep.
And the open bar and the name tags.
Yep, you got it.
Now, you already finished speaking. When do I win my prize? Because that's what I want.
Right there. Right. They have to listen to me first before they get the prize. And I make it a big deal. I get them involved. So I also do last call on the prizes. If they didn't get their name in the actual, container with all the tickets, they love that. That re-engages them. Even if you know that they have put their ticket in, you want to remind them what this is about. You get, if you're a client, you get read. Did you fill it out? Did you send me a referral? And I promise you, every time I do this, people go, oh, no, I forgot. Me. And, they want to fill out they get involved with this prize. They want to win.
All right. So tell me, when you're up there, because I want to know exactly what you say and how you lock them in, because I love that you're creating that fear of missing out, which is FOMO. You're creating FOMO. Tell me, when you're up there and you're like, hey, help me out. This is all built on relationships. I couldn't have done this without you. Now let's do the prize. But if you haven't put in a ticket, now take it from there. Tell me how. Tell me
So
what you
I say, if you haven't put in a ticket, we need for you to hurry up and put in a ticket because we're going to draw the prize here in the next 5 minutes. So you got 5 minutes to get your name in the drawing. Grand prize drawing is a 55-inch flat screen Sony Samsung Smart TV. And I also have 3 other prizes going out, but I'm not going to tell you what they are until we get to draw them. So if you would, who has not, and I asked them to I do participatory. Raise your hand if you have not filled out a ticket. Notoriously.
Me.
Yeah. Awesome.
Me.
So we need for you to grab a ticket. Laura's going to run something over to you right now. Fill that out. Anyone else, if you have a referral this evening of someone you know that's interested in buying, selling, investing in real estate, you get an extra ticket. So make sure you get that extra ticket in there, and we'll be right back with you in 5 minutes. And then the music comes back on. I run around and I get involved. I'm running around helping people fill stuff out.
Got it. All right. So now,
and now they're all engaged. So you understand that they're no longer mixing and mingling around the bar. They are all now, and I've asked them to join around the mic, because now we have it's all hands on deck and everybody is facing me. So it's all about this going on.
all right. So everybody's there. Everybody's paying attention.
Right.
Now, tell me how you draw the prize. What do you do?
So if I have children, I like to get involved with the children. Children are always fun and they get to draw. So I'll either do the children or have a client or maybe even a vendor come up. If I have a vendor sponsorship, which I do from time to time, then they get to speak and then they also get to draw the name.
Got it. And then
I read the name out. Mm-hmm.
All right, got it. Then you're like, oh, Tristan just won the TV. I'm like, yeah.
Woohoo! Yes.
You take pictures, video. No?
Yeah, we do pictures. They have to come up to get it. They get a picture, and then that picture goes out on social media for them, etc. Yeah.
Do you give them the TV there and be like, take this with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It goes in their car. It's there. I always have all the prizes physically there to touch, feel, and see.
Awesome. I love that. All right. So then you're done with that part. Now what happens next?
We mix and mingle until the witching hour, which if it ends at 8, it's done. And so, and then I
get up there and be like, all right, it's done. See you later. Everybody.
We make the announcement if they want to continue to hang out, then we're going to move it over to X restaurant or X thing. So that's kind of lets them know that we need to wrap it up. But in the meantime, I'm mixing and I'm still answering questions. And it's usually after the drawing that I start to get the referrals and I have deeper conversations with people.
That's really good.
Yeah. So I don't push them out the door, but that's where those conversations I think get real and deep. And that's where I can get my most bang for my buck for my time there with them.
Right, so you're done. You're like, see you later, everybody. People are being kicked out. You have like 10 people that chill with you after, and you go in deeper with them. They're like your crew.
My crew.
You're done with that. Now, what happens the next day?
Ooh, the next day. What I end up doing is going through all of the cards that I've collected. I also go through my list of who was there because I don't always remember, and on any of the referrals. And the post follow-up is more critical than the party itself, because I make sure everybody's in that database. Any information that I learned from them at the party that I did not know, because I am interviewing them, believe it or not. I'm asking them when I'm mixing and mingling at the party, how's your house? What projects have you worked on? Are you retiring? Are you job changing? I'm having all of these conversations around Ford. And
can you go over Ford for me, please?
Yeah. So Ford is, you talk about family, occupation, recreation, and your dreams. So I hit those topics when I'm very purposeful in my conversation with them in a natural sort of way. And I spend a little bit of time with everybody at the event asking those questions. And the next day, I spend most of my time updating my database with that knowledge and information. And I usually can gauge out my timeline of when to call people next when I think they're going to make their next move in the next year, next 2 years, next 6 months, or who's pregnant, who has a baby, any life event that's going to happen or happening.
Perfect. All right. So, do you have a checklist of what you do with these people after? Like, call them up, email them, text them, send them a
Yes.
video.
I have a drip campaign in my CRM, and they're already in a campaign for the next event. But then if I am enlightened with something they've told me about moving in the next year, then I structure a brand new campaign to make telephone calls and everything else. Yes.
Got it.
But I do that the 24, 48 hours after, and I'm making those calls to them because I want to make sure that I'm at top of mind for and I also at the event, I let them know the next event when that's planned. Because remember, I'm planning 6 months in advance.
Oh, that's right. You are amazing like that.
Right. So I plan. But here's the great thing at the event. When I'm on the mic before they leave, I will ask them, what do they want to do? So I want feedback from them. Would you like an ice cream social? Would you prefer a winery? And sometime this last event, I went around and asked them specifically. What?
Justin wants to say hi to you. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Justin. I will ask them what they'd like to come to. And of course, winery is the big one. So now I know that these folks are going to come to the winery event. Then they will bring, and I ask them to bring a guest. So I'm prepping them for the next one as well.
That's cool. So you have the winery one. I want to know about the ice cream one because I love ice cream. So tell me how that works.
That one's so casual. I like to go with a local creamery because I like to support local businesses. And I go and I make a deal directly with them on paying for all the ice cream. And then I make it on a Saturday or a Sunday. Again, trying not to conflict with holidays and travel and everything else. I also know probably the best time to have ice cream is in the middle of August when it's really, really hot here.
Yeah.
Any earlier, it's kind of weird. But August is also our slowest month in real estate, at least here, because everyone's on vacation in Virginia. That's that last exodus.
Yeah, August and then beginning of September.
Right. So I know my participation is probably going to be lower, but it's not always about the participation. It's just about having the event and letting people know that there's an event, because I want them to know that I'm out there having events. Don't forget, it's also a branding thing for you, right?
That's awesome. I love that.
What do we know about agents? They just don't follow up. So if you're just following up even with an event, even if they can't come.
Are you sure we're talking about the same?
Exactly.
That's so funny.
I figure if I just call them enough, they won't forget me, right? And it'll be
true.
Yeah.
Well, you're inviting them to something else. You're giving them deep value. So it's a lot.
Deep value, right.
So how do we go about making these checklists? Because most agents don't have that experience that you do.
Ask me. I have the checklist. I can send it out.
Yeah, but that's like, you're going to get like 100 people asking you for that checklist.
I know. It's okay. Yeah. So I can actually put this online and give a link, but I'd have to do it afterwards. I can put all this PDF.
No rush. When you have it, I'll if you want, post it up. Let me know, and then you can post it up to LabCut so I can pin it to the top. Or
all right, bud. I will.
Or I can post it. But that's some really good information, Jennifer. And then look, obviously you cover the Virginia area. Can you tell me what area so people can send you referrals?
Sure. So I am located right outside of Washington, D.C., and someone's waving back there. Woo! And I'm in Ashburn, so I am just west of D.C. It's known as the IT Internet Data Center on the East Coast. So I'm right by Dulles Airport, about 40 miles outside of D.C. So if you have anyone transferring into the Washington, D.C. area, which is interesting, most people say, oh, I'm being transferred to Washington, D.C. You're probably not living in D.C. proper. You're probably living in Virginia or Maryland.
Very
and
true.
I service Virginia right outside of D.C.
Nice. That's a great area.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love that area.
Yeah.
All right. So if you could share with the agents that are listening in,
Sure.
One thing that really has helped you do better at these events, what would that be? What should they focus on that could help them be more successful?
Plan and have the process already in place.
I knew you were going to say that. You're planning 6 months ahead, which is insane.
So here's what's more insane, and I want to share this with everyone. First of all, you're not going to believe this, but I'm an introvert. And even introverts can do events. And the second part of that is if you have everything written down, the stress level goes way down and you can focus on what's important. And that is connecting with your clients. Because I find for me, the stress is too high if I'm not organized.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
You know what? That's like that for everybody that's an agent too.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
we're too scattered. So planning way ahead, and you're doing this on your own, which is even better.
Yes.
The reason it's better is because you have to have a solid checklist to make this happen.
Every time. But get this, it's the same checklist. You're just changing the venue and you're just changing the prizes, but the technique is still exactly the same, right? Same thing, which is great. Yeah.
All right. So last question.
Sure.
Vendors, do you have them cover some of your costs, all of your costs? What does that look like?
When I first did it, I actually was scared to ask vendors to pay for stuff.
Most agents are.
Because I didn't understand the tax implications. But what I found is when I asked the vendors, they said, sure, let me write a check. Well, how much? They really want, because I add value to them, I give them mic time, I give them time, I give them a presence at the event, and I promote them. So I think that's important. I just don't let them come and mingle with a name tag. I actually give them mic time to speak to everybody. Mm-hmm.
That's good. And do you promote them ahead of time or just at the event? After? What do you do that?
I've only promoted them at the event.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome because that's like where the most important part is.
Right.
I love it. All right.
Thanks, bud.
We had a lot of people saying some amazing things. Everybody loved your checklist. People were saying you were on it. Lots of great comments here. I'm scrolling through Facebook. Giveaways. Good job on the giveaways. The ticket thing was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They need your checklist, they say.
Okay. Checklist is coming. I will, I can I'll just make minor edits, take off personal stuff, but I'll shoot it out there. This is
and then I'll charge them $200 for the checklist.
I'll charge them $250 because I'm taking a hit. Yeah.
That's the best. All right. Well, you're from Ashburn, Virginia, which is DC, Maryland area. If you have any referrals, please send them to her for that area.
Love it. Take care of everybody. Yep.
Thanks for being on. I appreciate it. That was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Very awesome. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye-bye.